Now that I've done my face reveal, it's time to review some webcams. I've been using these, the Logitech Brio, C920 and C922, and the Razer Kiyo. Here's a look at each. The Brio has a flexible rubber base, although it doesn't seem as good in use as the others. You can remove it and put it on a tripod, so that can help, and you can remove the cable. The Kiyo is enormous with 3 large sections. It has good flexibility though, easy enough to use, and can also go on a tripod. Its main feature is the ring light, and the ring around that adjusts the brightness level. Computer spaces are often dark, so this is a great feature to have. And the C920s are basically the same in design, one of the better mounts around. So out of this lot, these are the most versatile, and the ones I've been using most. They all fit on monitors fairly well, even with a thin bezel, although the Kiyo does block a tiny bit of the screen if it's really thin. And they can all be tilted down except the Brio. When testing the cams, I had fairly low light, so it made it harder for them. And I also tried to set everything on default, all the same settings to keep it as fair and basic as possible. You can tweak them a little to get better visuals of course, and I did the testing in OBS. In the focusing test, I found that the Kiyo wasn't focusing very well regardless of what I did, but when it autofocused, it was quick. The Brio sometimes didn't regain focus, seeming as soft as the Kiyo, but once it focused, it was nice and sharp. The C920 actually did really well, despite being darker than the others. It looked sharp. It also held focus better than the C922, which wasn't as sharp for some reason. I did some later testing and it looked like the C922 was sharper. So just make sure you go through the settings of whatever cam you buy and just adjust them until you get it right. Hopefully you find a combination that works with your setup. So all of this is testing low light performance too. I wave my hand to show you how smooth it is. The cameras will compensate by lowering the shutter speed to get more light. So when you get jerky motion, that's because it's dropping below 60 or 30 frames per second. I would say the Kiyo and the Brio are the easy winners here. Comparing just those two, the Brio is lighter in this test, but you see the motion isn't as smooth. So it's kinda cheating with the shutter speed thing. And I couldn't change those settings to get a fair comparison, but it seems the Kiyo is more realistic and holds its frames better, while the Brio goes brighter with higher ISO and lower shutter. I think either will work well enough, it's nothing to stress over. I have a light behind me so I was testing the lens flaring. The Kiyo struggled a bit, but if you like the effect, that could be a good thing. All 3 Logitech cameras seem to handle it really well. Now looking at resolution, the Razer Kiyo goes to 1080p at 30 fps. The Brio can do 4K at 30 fps and 1080 at 60. The C922 didn't work when I set it to 1080, so this might be a compatibility issue, and the C920 can do 1080 at 30 fps. As a mouse cam, I like having the extra light of the Kiyo, especially on a black mousepad, but the Brio works quite well too. The C920s are the main ones I've been using in most of my videos, so they're also really good, but they seem to be outperformed by the other two in terms of video abilities. Okay, some issues. As you can see here, even going back to the old settings, I've lost the C922. It's been hard to get that cam working as it should. I don't know why, I just seem to have more issues with it, so I tend to rely on the C920 instead. Also, the C922 is meant to have a feature where it removes the background, but it doesn't work too well, and it's such a hassle to set up, so I'm skipping that feature. Alright, so just doing a sound test using the Kiyo at the moment. And this is what it sounds like, no effects, no special anything, I've just turned every mic up to 100%. Now this should be the Logitech Brio. It looks like it's peaking a little bit, so I have to speak just a little lower on this one. But you can always just turn the volume down, of course, I've just got them all maxed out as I said. Now this should be the Logitech C922, this is the basic volume of it, at 100%. This one isn't peaking, so I can speak pretty normally like I am right now. And lastly, this is the C920. This one is peaking again, so 100% volume is pretty loud. You can turn it down. I would suggest doing so, maybe do some testing first. So to conclude, these are all really good webcams in their own way. The Razer Kiyo has a ring light, but it is a bit soft, although that could be a good thing if you are shy about your face. The other issue is its size, so make sure your setup can handle it. I have been using it in darker places as a mouse cam, and it's been really good, and has saved me a lot of stress. The Brio has a 4K resolution, good brightness, fairly realistic looks, but the stand isn't too good, and neither is the sound. I think if I was going to buy a webcam for video calls or streaming, this would be it, but I wouldn't use the mic. For a safe all-purpose camera, I bought the C920 years ago, and it's been really good. A little dark and lacks some features, but it's still the one I rely on most. While the C922 is most likely better in a lot of ways, but because of the issues I've had, I'm less inclined to use it. That said, I have heard people have had no issues with it, so maybe it's just me. I would suggest not relying on this video for that, go check some other reviews. What am I going to use after all this testing? Most likely the Razer Kiyo as the main mouse cam. I'll still find uses for the others too, as side cams, keyboard cameras and more, but overall the Kiyo with its light suits me best. Definitely helps for filming dark mice on black pads. As always, it really depends what you want and what's going to suit you. Whether you need or want a light, whether you want the 4K resolution, a better microphone, each camera has its good and bad points. So this is my first attempt at a webcam review. I did make some mistakes, but I hope overall you got the general idea behind the cameras. I'll leave the usual links in the description if you want to help support the channel. Special thanks to Logitech and Razer for sending these out for review. And as always, like and share this video, and I'll catch you in the next.